up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we're doing the Canelo versus Munguia breakdown and prediction, as I will break down this big-time undisputed super middleweight title fight that's going to take place on May 4th on DAZN pay-per-view, and I will give my prediction at the end of the video. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So this fight approaches, we got about 3 weeks. We're about 3 weeks out. Big time fight right here for both men. You know, Canelo's the #1 fighter, and Munguia is widely regarded as #3. Now, if you haven't seen my breakdown videos before, it's basically, I talk about the fight itself, you know, what it means to the sport, what it means to the division. Then we get into each fighter, you know, individually, talk about the same stuff, them coming in, ask the same questions on both sides. In a championship fight like this, we will go champion first and then challenger second. And that's how it works. So again, this is a big time matchup. It's for the undisputed super middleweight title. All 4 belts on the line of Canelo's. Munguia is the #1 ranked contender in the WBO right now. He's a former champ at 154. You know, Canelo is being, you know, vastly criticized for not fighting David Benavidez, and rightfully so. He should be fighting Benavidez this year, but he decided against that. And but you know, as a consolation, you know, Jaime Munguia is the #3 fighter, and he's an undefeated Mexican. He's 6 years younger. He's really coming off of his biggest victory. So, you know, now's a good time for Munguia to really get his crack and see what he's made of. So it is a big fight. It really is, you know, and the undercard's going to be decent. Got some decent fighters on the undercard. So it definitely is a fight. In my opinion, with the card itself, it's worth ordering. Now, let's start with Jaime Munguia. No, not Jaime Munguia. Let's start with Canelo Alvarez and see what he's done coming into the fight. Now, as I always do, I go back and look at their last 3 fights, both fighters. Canelo's last 3 fights date back to September of 2022. And there he defended his undisputed title against Triple G Gennady Golovkin in their 3rd fight. Canelo was coming back off of his 2nd pro loss to Dimitri Bivol, where he got worked at light heavyweight and lost the unanimous decision. He was coming in against Triple G and really looking for the knockout. For the first 8 rounds, he was putting it on Triple G and was looking to end their story with a knockout. But Triple G, being the well-conditioned Hall of Fame great fighter, you know, stood there, lost pretty much every round, and then from rounds 9 to 12 just stormed back into the fight as Canelo got tired. But when it went to the scorecards, Canelo had done enough to that point to secure a deserving unanimous decision, but kind of in a lackluster form. I think a lot of people wanted to see a knockout. You know, and the Bivol loss really took some steam out of this 3rd fight. So Canelo got the win, retained his titles. After that, his next fight was in May of last year, 2023, when he battled John Ryder, who's the WBO interim champion and mandatory challenger for that belt. And he really, you know, he had a surgery following the Triple G fight, and originally was only supposed to fight once, but his hand healed quickly, and he said he wanted to come back and take on a softer opponent. And he took on Ryder, and he absolutely dominated Ryder, though. He picked him apart, beat him up, you know, put him down, I think, once or twice. And, you know, but couldn't put him away, as Ryder, you know, stayed strong, stayed tough, and it went to the scorecards where Canelo took a unanimous decision. And then in his last fight, that was in September of last year, he took on undisputed super welterweight champ at 154, Jermell Charlo, who moved up 2 weight classes to fight him. So, you know, Canelo, again, put it on Charlo, dominated him over 12 rounds. Charlo really didn't seem keen to engaging all that often, as once he felt Canelo's power, I think he just kind of stayed away. He got put down once in the 7th round, but got up and finished the fight and lost a one-sided shutout 12-round unanimous decision as Canelo retained his undisputed belt. So his, rolling into this fight, I wouldn't say he's hot. I would just say he's still winning fights convincingly, in convincing fashion. And he's coming in the sizable favorite here, and he should be. And Canelo is always highly confident and knows what he wants, knows what he needs to do. And I think he's definitely ready for the younger Munguia. He knows what's at stake. He knows Munguia throws a lot of punches, and Canelo needs to be ready. Now, what does Canelo need to do to win this fight against Jaime Munguia? Well, Canelo needs to be ready to counterpunch, and that's where he's going to be a killer here with Munguia. Munguia likes to come out. He has that long, hard jab, but Munguia wants to mix it up. He's going to want to make this an all-out war, and Canelo needs to be better than to be drawn into an all-out war. Canelo's best bet would be to counterpunch in the pocket, step side to side, and set up his big shots, especially once Munguia starts to step in, the left hook to the body, the feint left overhand right. I think he can really counter Munguia all day and bust him up if he implores this strategy and does not get drawn into a big time war. And also, he needs to try to wear down Jaime Munguia, the younger Munguia, take him into the deep waters, because Munguia has been 12 rounds before, but he hasn't been 12 rounds in a big time knock it down drag fest but he was against Sergey Derevyanchenko, who's an older fighter that I think he was overlooking. So I think Canelo needs to focus on the body and counterpunching and do enough damage in order to take him deep and drown him in the late rounds. Now, can Canelo win this fight by knockout? And I think he can. Canelo's got good power. A lot of people are going to say, well, his power is not there anymore. I don't agree with that. I think Canelo's always had pretty solid power, but he's not just a sole knockout artist. His resume proves that. He's been the distance plenty of times. But he does have power, and I think in this one, him being the counter puncher, setting up his punches in this one, I think he's going to be able to land some very good punches that really could hurt and put Munguia away. So yeah, I think he can knock Munguia out. Now, can Canelo win this fight by a decision? I believe he can. Canelo's the better boxer. As long as he can avoid, Munguia swarming him, where he's only throwing one punch at a time, Canelo, then I think he can definitely win a decision here, and I think he can win a convincing decision. So what does a win mean here for Canelo Alvarez? Well, a win and a convincing win keeps Canelo's, his mystique. It keeps his star where it's at. People are going to criticize the Benavidez fight, sure. There's no doubt there, and they should. I'm one of them. But Canelo just needs to be convincing with this victory in order to continue to prove that he's an elite fighter and one of the best. And I think he knows he needs to get that win here, and I think he's hungry and motivated to go get it. So a win means it means a lot for Canelo moving forward, like big fights moving forward. So yeah, it definitely means a lot. What does a loss mean for Canelo? A loss to Munguia, even though Munguia is a good, young, hungry fighter, it would be a passing of the torch of some sorts. But if Canelo were to lose to a guy like Munguia right now, then Canelo gets taken off the pound for pound kind of pedestal. And he just gets dropped back to, he's still a good, maybe great fighter, but he's not, one of the top tier fighters in the sport anymore. That's just what's going to happen if he loses to Munguia. If it's a close loss, I think it's almost the same thing, Of course, how he loses is going to matter, but if he goes out there and gets knocked out or loses a wide decision, which I don't see happening, but if he does, then people are definitely gonna, be like, hey, Canelo's prime is officially over and he's in the twilight now. But if he gets, if he goes out there and loses a very close decision, something of that matter, I think that could lead to, a rematch, which wouldn't hurt him as bad, but still, any kind of loss is gonna hurt Canelo. So now let's switch over to the challenger here, the former junior middleweight champ at 154, the undefeated Jaime Munguia, and break him down. We start with what he's been doing coming into this fight. Well, his last 3 fights date back to November of 2022. So they both had about the same amount of time off. He got a 3rd round knockout against some unknown fighter named Gonzalo Cora or something like that. Knocked him out in 3 rounds. Then he returned in June of last year, 2023, and he took on the former, I think, 4-time world title challenger, Sergey Derevyanchenko, 10 years older than him, and fought his ass off and had to earn a close, somewhat controversial, unanimous decision in a Fight of the Year candidate. He did put Derevyanchenko down in the 12th round. That secured the win for him in a very close fight. There was a lot of people that thought he might have lost this fight. It was really close. I honestly think Munguia was overlooking Derevyanchenko coming in. It was also his debut at 168 though, so who knows how what happened and why in that one. But his last fight, he finally proved himself on a big stage when he took on John Ryder in January of this year, and absolutely just pressured John Ryder. It was actually a good fight. Ryder was landing shots and had won a couple rounds there, but just his overall pressure, his speed, and his power, Ryder could not keep up and handle it. And finally, in the 9th round, he would finish John Ryder and punch his ticket for Canelo is what happened that night. That was a huge win. It was a win he needed to come out of that shell and prove how good he was. And he sends John Ryder into retirement with that victory. So now heading into this one, he is very hungry and wanting to prove himself here. 27 years old. He's got the height and the reach advantage. Reach is only about 1.5 inches, so it's not huge, but the height advantage is about 4 inches. I think he's 6 foot to Canelo's 5'8". So, he could, again, use that to his advantage. Now, what does Munguia need to do to win this fight? And I'll tell you right now, I know Munguia is a pressure fighter. He likes to throw a lot of punches. He likes to get into a war. But Munguia has a very hard, stiff jab. If he can throw that and follow it up, with like a left to the body, left to the head, and get Canelo looking at the left side to where he can deliver a big right hand, I think he can, be effective. If I was Munguia, I wouldn't just go straight at Canelo, because Canelo has the power to hit him hard and land those big body shots. And if Munguia's coming in, Canelo's going to tee off on his body, and he's also going to time him and land a big shot. So if I'm Munguia, I put a little bit of distance and try to box and punch my way to a big, a win here against Canelo. If he can do that, I think he'll conserve energy and he'll leave himself in a good position heading, moving forward in the fight. So a lot can be done for Munguia if he follows a game plan and doesn't just go try to go to war. Now, can Jaime Munguia win this fight by knockout? And to be honest, I mean, at any point at any time, anybody can win by knockout, but I've never seen Canelo really even hurt. I saw him put down by a jab early in his career, but I've never really seen him stunned or hurt, especially in his prime. And Munguia's a hard hitter, but I don't think he's going to hit Canelo hard enough to knock him out. But who knows? I mean, Canelo could get hit and it could rattle him, and that could be it, especially if Canelo decides to go to war with Munguia, which I don't think he will. But if he does, Munguia maybe could hurt him, but I'm on the less likely that Canelo gets knocked out. Now, can Munguia win by a decision? I think that's his best bet, but he's gonna have to just swarm Canelo and overwhelm him and win enough rounds to do that. So it's not gonna be easy. So, but I do think it's possible to win a decision against Canelo. Now, what does a win mean for Jaime Munguia? Well, a win means everything. Munguia puts to bed the Benavidez Canelo talk, and it really becomes Munguia Benavidez after that, and he becomes a superstar then. He's a star right now. He's but people really don't know how good he is, and Canelo's going to be his benchmark. But man, a victory here would mean everything to his career. He would cement his career right here, and his star would just move up. In the next 4 or 5 years, he's going to be a legitimate pound-for-pound threat with a victory over Canelo. So a win means a lot for Jaime Munguia. Now, what does a loss mean for Munguia? Well, it's going to depend on how he loses. You know, it really will. If he loses a close one, finishes the fight, and goes the distance and loses a close one, then people are gonna know that he's the real deal, that he's ready to rock and roll. But if he gets his ass whipped, a one-sided decision, or gets knocked out, I think people are going to know, you know, after that, like, hey, you know, this guy wasn't at, you know, it isn't on that level, at least not yet. And that would hurt him, but not too bad, because I think Canelo's a sizable favorite for a reason. So now, is it better for boxing if Canelo Alvarez wins this fight, or if Jaime Munguia wins this fight? And it's tough to say, but it's definitely, well, it's not tough to say. It's better if Canelo wins, because Canelo is the face of the sport right now. He's widely known. Now, it wouldn't be bad if Munguia won the fight, though. Munguia is a well-known name. Well, he's a pretty solid name, you know, but he's just not that mega star, and I don't think he's ready to take over the division as of yet. I just don't, or to take over the sport as the new face. Now, he's definitely young, and it definitely would do wonders for him, and it would be good for boxing, because when a younger fighter knocks off the face of boxing, or knocks off a very good older fighter, it gives you hope that there's a future for the sport, you know, and I think that's what people are going to go for, and that's the good, that would be the good that comes out of it. But now, finally, my prediction: who's going to win this fight between Canelo Alvarez and Jaime Munguia for the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world? And you know, Canelo wins this fight, in my opinion. Canelo is just too good. You know, I still believe he's too good. He's too talented. His counterpunching ability, hitting from angles, the way he can time an opponent, Canelo is just on another level. He really is. And I see him dominating this fight, you know, to a degree. It's not going to be a complete one-sided dominant performance. You know, I think Munguia will be in the fight. He'll land some good shots. He'll definitely let Canelo know that he's there, and he'll be competitive to an extent, but I just think Canelo is just on another level. He's too good, and I think Canelo's going to expose Munguia, and I think he's gonna break him down. And to be honest, I think he stops Jaime Munguia in the late rounds. I think he busts him up, stops him in the late rounds from an accumulation of punches. But I definitely think Munguia, especially with Canelo not finishing fighters in a while now, I think what's his name definitely can go the distance, and it could be somewhat close if it goes the distance. But I got to pick Canelo. I think he's gonna win in convincing fashion and retain his undisputed super middleweight championship of the world. But I do believe Munguia is a live underdog, so we'll see what happens. But that's it. That's what I got. That's my Canelo versus Munguia breakdown and prediction video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.